Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual drasha. This week, we have the incredible privilege of Parshas Pinchas, and nestled in the middle of the parsha, Parak Chof Zayin Posuk Tes Vov, chapter 27, verse 15, we have a fascinating exchange between Moshe Rabbeinu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the exchange goes like this: Vaydaber Shal Moshe Lemar. Hashem said to Moshe the following: Yifkot Hashem Elokei Haruchos L'chol Basar Ish Al Ha'eda. Moshe Rabbeinu again knows that he's not going to lead Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael. He knows that. In fact, Kadosh Baruch Hu just reinforced it a couple of psukim earlier. And Moshe Rabbeinu, as the faithful shepherd, wants to make sure that the flock is entrusted to someone who's going to love them, someone who's going to nurture them, and someone who's going to lead them. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Kadosh Baruch Hu, here's what I'm asking you: Yifkot Hashem Elokei Haruchos L'chol Basar Ish Al Ha'eda. Now, Yifkot literally means to remember, or paka, to appoint. Hashem, who is the master of ruchos. Ruchos literally means the winds, right? For all living things, Ish al ha'eda, should appoint a leader. And then Moshe Rabbeinu goes on to discuss the criteria of the leader, someone who will go out in war before them. In other words, we don't want an ivory tower leader. We need a leader who's actively involved in the people. What I want to draw your attention to is how Moshe Rabbeinu refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He calls him again the Hashem Elokei Haruchos. Literally Hashem, the master, the God of the ruchos, wind, spirits. What is it referring to? So Rashi HaKadosh over here already says as follows: Amar lefan Ribbono Shel Moshe was saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu the following: Ribbono Shel, master of the universe, Galui v'yadua lefanecha daito shel kol echad ve'echad ve'enon domin zeh lazeh. Ruach over here really refers to almost the dispositions of people. Hashem, the God of dispositions. You are the God who knows that every single person is a world unto him or herself. Every single person is so different from the other. Every single person has their own wants, needs, desires, goals, aspirations. Everyone has their strengths, their weaknesses, and everyone has their particular ruach, their particular disposition. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I need you to find a leader for Klal Yisrael. Maneh aleihem manhig. Help HaKadosh Baruch Hu appoint a leader who's going to love everyone for who they are, or is going to be able to tolerate everyone for who they are, or is going to be able to manage complex group dynamics, which is a nice way of saying the difficulty, the stiff-neckedness of sometimes Klal Yisrael. So therefore, again, according to Rashi, this was understanding. Hashem, you are the God, so to speak, of every ruach. Ruach meaning a disposition. You know everyone's disposition. Hashem, you need to appoint a leader who's able to deal with all kinds of people. Now, what's incredible about this, by the way, just from a leadership perspective, is that what Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching us already in the Chumash, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu ultimately kind of puts his shtempel, puts a seal of approval on, is a leader is not only a leader for the people who like him, and a leader is not only a leader for the people who voted for him, right? So, the president is not only the president of the party who supports him, and the prime minister is not only the prime minister of the parties who form his majority. Real leadership means you lead everyone. Everyone is your constituent. Everyone is a member of your flock. You have an achrayus, you have a responsibility for anyone and everyone. But this one's so difficult, and this one's this, and okay, that's the nature, that's the story of our people. That was the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu advocated for everyone. Moshe Rabbeinu loved everyone. Moshe Rabbeinu, even when Korach attacked him, right, still he tried to find a way to diffuse the whole machlokas. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem, I'm not going to be here anymore. So I have one thing that I'm asking of you. The Hashem Elokei Haruchos, who knows how different and diverse of a people we are. Appoint Ish al Ha'eda. Appoint someone who is going to be able to love everyone, who's going to be able to accept everyone, and therefore by extension is going to be able to lead everyone. Not that everyone will listen, but that the leader himself should have that emotional capacity to feel like the leader of the entire klal. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says later on, a few psukim later, V'yamar Shal Moshe, Kach lecha es Yoshua ben Nun asher ruach bo. So beautiful. So Hashem says to Moshe, take Yoshua ben Nun, that the ruach is in him. Rashi says over here, Kasher sha'alta. Moshe, I'm doing exactly what you asked of me. Sheyuchal la'aloch kineged ruach shel kol echad ve'echad. So this is interesting. So Baruch Hu adds in like a little kinetch over here. Moshe Rabbeinu was asking for someone who ultimately, in the words of Rashi, who would sovel kol echad ve'echad lefi daito, who's able to tolerate and deal with every person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give him that koach. He's going to have that koach, but he's also going to have the koach to stand up. Sometimes leadership demands creating the big tent, bringing everyone in, being a leader for everyone. And sometimes being a leader means saying, I love you, but no. we're not going to do this. Or this idea or this outlook or this hashkafa or this approach is not acceptable. So you have to be able to love and include, and you also have to be able to kind of draw the line and say with love and with dignity and with respect, no. Chaj Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give him the Ruach Bo. So incredible. Moshe Rabbeinu asks the God of Ruach for a man with Ruach, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will deliver to you Yoshua, Ish Asher Ruach Bo. That spirit of love and inclusiveness, but the strength of character to be able to draw the line and say no, Yoshua possesses both of them. But perhaps this idea of Ruach, most notably that Moshe Rabbeinu refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as Kel Elokei HaRuchos, Hashem Elokei HaRuchos, the God of the Ruchos. It's such a profound statement. Is there perhaps another level of understanding that we could glean from this description of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So there is a beautiful Gemara in Maseches Brachos. The Gemara tells the story. This is on Daf Hema base, page 5b. Rabbi Elazar Chalash. Rabbi Elazar became ill. Rabbi Yochanan came to visit him. Chaza dahavagani kagani bebayis afel. So Rabbi Elazar is ill, and Rabbi Yochanan comes to visit him. Rabbi Yochanan walks in and he sees that the room that Rabbi Elazar is in is dark. So what did he do? Galye ledar'e v'nafal nahora. So literally translated, Rabbi Yochanan rolled up his sleeve and the room became filled with light. Rashi says, what's going on over here? Rabbi Yochanan rolls up his sleeve that the room becomes filled with light. So Rashi says, v'nafal nahora shahayu b'sara mafhik sheyafa haya ma'od. So Rabbi Yochanan apparently was very handsome man, and his skin was luminescent. So the Gemara says he had such good skin, such luminescent skin, that he walked into the dark room, rolled up his sleeve, and suddenly again the entire room was filled with light. A beautiful and incredible insight. The Chabina Rav Dov Berish Weinfeld, who lived from 1881 to 1965, gave a beautiful interpretation of this Gemara. The Chabina Rav says like this. He says, everyone looks at this Gemara and they say that it's like a miracle, right? He rolled up his sleeve, his skin was so luminescent, illuminated the room. Shabina Rav says that's not what it means. Rabbi Yochanan went to be Mavakir Chola to Rabbi Elazar. And what does he see? He sees his friend, his colleague, his chaver, is sitting in a state of disrepair. That the house is dark, and who knows what else that meant if the house is dark. Generally, again, bayis afel is not just usually descriptive of a lack of light, but it usually means a certain lack of seder, of order. Rabbi Yochanan walks in and he sees that his friend is not being taken care of. So what does Rabbi Yochanan do? Chivin Rav says, what does he do? The Gemara says, Galye lidare. Galye lidare means he rolled up his sleeves. Says the it means he revealed his arm, meaning he rolled up his sleeves. Says the Chivin Rav, what does it mean he rolled up his sleeves? Literally, Chavra, we know the expression when you roll up your sleeves. Rabbi Yochanan said, you know what, this is not acceptable. I got to do something about it. So what does he do? He rolls up his sleeves. He cleans up the house. He cleans up the room. He opens up the shades. Probably brought Rebbe Elazar something to eat, something to drink. Maybe even got him out of the bed a little bit, changed the sheets, helped him change his clothing, maybe helped him to be, whatever he had to do. Shebina Rav says, the Gemara is not telling us of some dramatic lesson of luminescent skin. Rather, it's talking about the model when you see something in a state of disrepair. Rabbi Yochanan walks in, he sees his friend in a state of disrepair, lying in an ill-kept home. And so he could have said, "Ay, Nebuch, you know what? I got to call someone about this. This can't be. This can't be. Who's in charge over here? Let me make a phone call. Let me send an email, a WhatsApp, something. Somebody's got to get down here." So what does Rabbi Yochanan do? Gal dare. Gemara says, Gal dare. He revealed his arms. He rolled up his sleeves. He got to work. Rabbi Yochanan modeling for us that when you see something in a state of disrepair, don't lament it. Don't complain about it. Don't krechts about it. But do something about it. Work. Roll up your sleeves. You have the opportunity to be an agent of change, and perhaps that's what's happening over here. Moshe Rabbeinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, you are the Elohei HaRuchos. Do you know what the incredible thing about wind is? Ruach, just straight out wind. Wind has the ability to go ahead and move something from one end to another. You know, I just got back today from Yerushalayim, Eretz Yisrael. And I think it was last night, a little bit in a fog. Last night, I was standing on a beautiful rooftop in Yerushalayim. The wind was so strong. It was there was furniture there. It's blowing the cushions from one place to another. Wind is strong. Wind is strong. Wind moves things. Wind moves the oceans. Wind moves people. We're sometimes astounded by these gale force winds that can uproot trees, uproot homes. Rahman al-Islam. Wind moves things. Wind takes things from one place and it moves things to another. Moshe, you know what the incredible thing about you? You know what the most incredible thing about HaKadosh Baruch Hu is? That the Ribono Shel Olam is the ultimate agent of change. He is the Elohei Haruchos. He is the prime mover. The Ribono Shel Olam has the ultimate koach to be able to affect change in our lives as individuals, in our national lives, globally, universally, cosmically. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the God of Ruach, the God who could affect change. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ribono Shel Olam Klal Yisrael needs a leader. And what kind of leader? What kind of leader? Ish Asher Ruach Bo HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Kelo Ruchos, you the God of wind, you need to appoint the Ish Ala'ida. You need to appoint someone with that same midah. A leader is someone who, when he sees something that is broken, rolls up his sleeves and tries to fix it. When he sees something that's in a state of disrepair, doesn't lament it, but does something about it. And ultimately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu agrees with Moshe and says, you know what, you're right. Kachas Yoshua ben Nun Ish Asher Ruach Bo. Yoshua could be that agent of change. And Chavra, this is not just a lesson in like national leadership. This is a lesson in our own lives. Not a day goes by that we don't see something in a state of disrepair. Not a day goes by that we don't see something that is fundamentally broken. But do we do something to try to fix it? Or do we look at it and simply move on? The Ribono Shel Olam, the Elokei Haruchos, the God of the wind, who allows change, who could affect change, vests us with that same exact koach as well. To be a wind, to be a gale force wind in this world, and to affect change wherever it may be. Rabbi Yochanan walked into a Bikur Cholim visit and could have easily said a kapitel of Tehillim and gone on his way, but instead he realizes, when you see something in a state of disrepair, roll up your sleeves, expose your arms, roll up your sleeves, and do something to try to fix it. Whether it's in our personal lives, we all have things in ourselves that are broken. And for many of us, those very things have been broken for years and years and years. But I don't think I could do anything about it, so I don't want to do anything about it. Become Ish Asher Ruach Bo. Become a man of the wind and do something in our relationships, with our children, with our parents, with our friends, in our careers. Sometimes we're just stuck. Be an Ish Asher Ruach Bo. Be an agent of change. If something is broken, you have the ability to fix it. And imagine if we can internalize this lesson of the Chabina Rav. Imagine if we could live a life like Rabbi Yochanan. Imagine that we could be like Yoshua, Ish Asher Ruach Bo. And when we encounter broken things in this world, whether they're broken things inside of us, inside of our lives, or just broken things external to us that we see, imagine if we stopped for a moment and asked ourselves, what could I do to help? What could I do to fix it? Imagine if we found the courage to roll up our sleeves and be true wind agents of change. Imagine what our lives would look like. Imagine what Klal Yisrael would look like. Imagine what our world would look like. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.